Google came out with some significant announcements recently, including a brand new model, a digital research assistant, a new streaming functionality for audio and video, as well as integrating Google Search itself with AI. I'll have a separate video about the research assistant, but today I want to talk about the real-time audio and video streaming, as well as the integration of search results with AI. Let's go. First, let's talk about real-time streaming. I'm going to jump into Google's AI Studio. You can also access this just as easily, and it's currently free, but even once it's paid, I suspect it'll be quite reasonable. So the first thing, you come in here, you want to go to the stream real time. Now that we're in here, let's give it a shot. First, let's try out audio alone. Hey, how's the weather in New York?
I don't have access to real-time weather information. However, you can easily check a weather app or website for the current conditions.
Great, thanks. That was a pretty quick response.
Designed to respond quickly. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's all for now.
Okay. Feel free to ask if you need anything else.
So as you can see, it's pretty quick, and it also doesn't have access to any data, which we're going to come back to later when we talk about the integration of Google Search with AI. For now, let's come back here and let's do something with video. Video is what makes this new functionality interesting. Let's see if we can have it use my webcam. Could you describe this guy you see on camera?
Sure, I can describe him. He has short dark hair and a light complexion. He's wearing a black V-neck shirt and appears to be in a room with a bed and a wardrobe.
Thanks, that's all for now.
Okay, you're welcome. Let me know if you have any other questions.
So as you can see, you can connect both audio and video to the AI, and it does a pretty good job of interpreting what's in the video. Let's try an example with the screen. So we'll go down here, we'll go to screen share, select screen.
Okay, it sounds like you're about to share your browser. Is there anything specific you want me to look at once you do?
Can you see this game that I'm looking at here?
Yes, I can see the game you're looking at.
Could you write me a JavaScript implementation of this game?
I can't write JavaScript code for you directly, as I am a language model and cannot execute code. However, I can describe the logic behind how the game 2048 works in JavaScript. Would you like to explore this?
No, that's okay. That makes sense. Thanks. That's all for now.
Okay, sounds good. Let me know if you have any other questions in the future.
So the interesting thing about this is that when it's set to output audio, it can only output audio. So you can ask it to write some code for you, and despite what it said there, it actually will do it, but it'll dictate the code to you, which is not super helpful because you ultimately want the code to run somewhere. So let's start a new chat and let's tell it to output text instead. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Same as before. Hey, are you there? I'm going to show you a game in my browser, and I want to see if you can implement a version of this game using JavaScript in a single HTML file. Here's the game. It's called 2048. Please implement this in JavaScript. Well, that didn't seem to work. Can you implement the game I showed you in JavaScript? First, describe the rules of the game so that I know that you're clear on what they are, and then go ahead and implement them in code. That sounds good. Go for it. All right. It took a bit of prompting, and it's a bit odd to speak out loud while reading text as a response, but for now, at least, that's what you need to get the code out as actual text. So that's the new real-time API, and it's a big deal specifically because the video input. If we go over to the docs on OpenAI's platform, we see that they also support something similar, but it currently is only text and audio. So what Google has done here is they let you use video as well, which can open up a lot of interesting use cases. Now let's look at the integration of Google Search with the AI itself. Here I'm back in AI Studio. Instead of using stream real time, I'm going to jump into the create prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the same question about the weather that I used in the streaming example, and it wasn't able to answer. In this case, we don't expect it to be able to answer either. And the problem, of course, is that it doesn't have access to data. It doesn't have real-time information, but we can fix that with this new Google Search integration. If we go down here to the tools, we go and click on this grounding thing, which is strangely named in my opinion. But if we click on this, or you hover it, you see what it is. This means that the model gets to use Google Search, and that's going to allow it to get real-time information and do it very quickly. Let's just go rerun this example. So as you can see, it was able to respond pretty quickly and accurately as well. But what makes this integration interesting is that it's a separate tool outside of the model itself. If you notice in here, I didn't select their new model. They have this new Gemini 2 preview model down here, which I wasn't using. I was just using one of their older models, but I was able to integrate Google Search with it, which is a new functionality. This is pretty interesting because it means your search is not tied to your model. If you currently pay for ChatGPT, for instance, you may know that you can use search, but you can't use it with their latest and greatest model, which is O1. If you select their top model, you cannot select search anymore. This is different in Google, and because it's modular, you can use it with the real-time API as well. Let's see if we can ask the same question with voice and have it respond. How's the weather in New York?
The weather in New York is currently 44 degrees Fahrenheit and cloudy. There is a light breeze from the north-northwest at 6 miles per hour.
Great. So what's really nice about this is that as Google pushes new features and new technologies, ideally we'll be able to integrate them all together. It makes sense to be able to use these things piecemeal rather than have to select a basket of functionality like you currently do with ChatGPT. Let's give Google another try and see how it works as a simple search engine. We're not trying to use voice here. So if you look at this, it cites all of its sources. So you can easily go and see if any of this is accurate. For instance, if you see this, you might wonder, does Notion really allow you to customize your app by emailing them? And if we click through the link, it turns out the answer is yes. This is a real website with the actual information that was cited. This isn't Notion's site itself, so perhaps it's not true, but at least we know that the AI didn't make this up. The AI will read the search page itself. It doesn't just read the search results and choose amongst them. It actually goes and reads the page content and then delivers up an answer, which means you get to save time. As a personal example, I don't use Google at all anymore. I began using AI search almost exclusively for everything but images. So why is this exciting? And also, why should you care? Firstly, this is exciting because it means more competition in the space. Google has made it a lot easier to create various types of apps that have been fairly difficult previously. For example, if you want to make a competitor to Perplexity, now you can just use this entire API Google built to do so. You could put together an MVP of a Perplexity competitor in a weekend. Now, it would not be as good as Perplexity, the company, and its products. But the fact that you could get close in a single weekend is likely a little bit scary to the folks at Perplexity. This is also a big deal because it seems to represent a shift in how Google is treating its search results. Google makes its money with search advertising. As of this video, the last quarter that it reported, more than half of Google's revenue came from Google search ads specifically, or in absolute terms, they made almost $50 billion in the last quarter off of search ads. That is a lot of money, and clearly not an amount that Google is going to give up easily if people start using AI for search. If either Perplexity or OpenAI's search feature gain in popularity, Google's going to have a bad time because people will be using Google less. Google's giving access to its search as part of an API. This means that companies and individual developers are going to be able to control the user experience while using Google's data. This is a fairly big shift because the way Google serves ads is by controlling the user experience. So it looks like Google is positioning itself to be in the middle of AI search if it ends up happening. Or if voice-based search becomes the way of the future, Google's also positioned to be in the middle of that too. These new products that release make it relatively easy to build those. If your next AI search app becomes a hit and it's using Google's API, Google still gets to be in the middle of that transaction, which is what they ultimately want. So for now, what all this means is you're going to have more options as a user. More companies will emerge and build products on these APIs. Or if you're a developer, you can build your next product on these APIs and get an MVP out the door really quickly. In the short term, this would be great for users. More options, more products to choose from, more choice. In the long run though, Google and all of its competitors are probably trying to claim as much of the market as possible so that they can raise prices or otherwise extract more value. So in the medium to long term, it's uncertain, but at least for now, in the short term, you're gonna have a lot of choice as a user as to how to do your search and how to use AI. These were not the only things Google announced. They also announced a new model and a deep research assistant. The research assistant is pretty cool. It can go Google a whole bunch of pages for you and pull them together into a research report, citing all of its sources. If that sounds interesting to you too, you can check out the other video I'm making on that. I'll put a link once it's ready. And if you want to hear more AI tech talk, consider subscribing to the channel. That's all for now. See ya. AI.